So, cardio for fat loss, high intensity interval training or low intensity steady state. What's your belief system around it? What is superior? What is inferior? Let's take some notes. What do we think? Again, we had lots of ones in the chats here. One, yep, one. Lots of ones. We think HIIT superior for fat loss. Cool. So I'm going to just outline the pros and cons of both. So HIIT, very effective at burning calories at the moment. So the acute calorie expenditure during a high intensity interval training definitely increases. It drives heart rate and will improve anaerobic capacity. That is, again, your ability to perform without oxygen. Your body gets extremely effective and efficient at using energy, effectively carbohydrates. So what happens in the body on a biological level? Your body has something called mitochondria. It breaks down glucose, which is stored in fat and adipose tissues, and then it releases carbon dioxide. And that release of carbon dioxide is basically something called adenosine triphosphate, which is just an energy. So basically, a few things go in, energy pops out. What we need is glucose. Glucose is found in carbohydrates. So when we have higher intensity interval training, your body is extremely effective at burning carbohydrates. It increases metabolic adaptation. Metabolism is, again, breaking something down. So it actually is a lot more effective at breaking down energy sources to be used in the body. Of course, it is extremely time efficient. If you're trying to burn 200 calories, doing that in a walk probably equals about 3,500 to 4,000 steps to burn 200 calories. I was on the assault bike for 12 minutes and I burned like 250 calories. So of course, time efficiency wise, you can easily fly through it. Increases, what was it? EPOC, which stands for excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, which is, again, basically just making your body extremely efficient at using carbohydrates, carbon dioxide, and just making your body more effective and more useful when it comes down to burning energy. Cons. Because of the high demand on the cardiovascular system, your heart and lungs, you actually reach cardiovascular failure before you reach muscle failure. So it's very hard to actually build muscle, build lean tissue when performing high intensity interval training. Yes, you will get a little bit more toned and you will get a little bit more shaped, but when it comes down to actual building like muscle mass, you're going to reach cardiovascular failure, and we know that driving energy, driving movement, producing force is required through energy. And if you're anaerobic, if you don't have cardiovascular availability, you're not going to reach you're going to reach cardiovascular failure before muscular failure. It increases hunger post-workout. Again, if I ask you guys to sprint on a treadmill, do 20 sprints in the next 20 minutes, you're going to feel like your hunger levels are significantly going to be higher in comparison if I just told you to go and walk for an hour, 100%. It will impact muscle recovery due to the metabolic demand. Exactly that. If you guys sprint because of the energy consumption which is required, huge increase in metabolic demand. It's a huge elevation in cortisol, which is the body's stress response. And because of that high element of stress response, your body is going to be taking a little bit of time to kind of slow down, chill out, rest, and recover. It's not going to be as effective and as efficient as slower, steady state. And as well, a con is it reduces activity post-workout. If you guys have a really tough workout, who wants to just come home? Who's done a really hard workout? Put a 1 down in the chat. You went to the gym, you done a body pump or a spin class or whatever it was you done, and then you came home and you done fucking nothing. You literally just lay down, passed out, and was like, I'm not moving, I'm staying here, this is me. I defeated the gym, haha. I've done a half-hour workout, I'm the boss. I can eat what I want, I can do what I want because I worked out really hard for half an hour. Yeah, I think we all have. So some pros and cons of low impact steady states. So low impact, very easy to do. Again, mindless. You guys are sitting here, you are actually kind of twiddling. So that's of course just something called neat. non-exercise activity thermogenesis, but as well as easy to do. You can easily go out and get 10,000 steps, and it's not really going to be demanding. It's not too much of a strenuous job, sometimes a little bit inconvenient. If you go into like a steady state of like a 2K run, 3K, 5K, and you get a little bit more effective at that, it can improve aerobic capacity. Again, how well your body uses energy with oxygen. So it's not going to burn as much calories. Your body's going to just start becoming fitter. So you may not burn more calories. And the way I like to kind of put this is, we've all got that, like, think of like American football players. There's big, heavy guys. You wouldn't class them out of shape. There's a lot of weight, but their ability to perform is extremely high. If you go and you started running 5K and you weigh 130 kilos and you continue to run 5K every single day, you're going to get really, really good at running 5K. And you're not going to, by the end of the 30 days, you're probably going to be like, this actually doesn't really faze me. Is a lot of work, and for someone like that, but your actual ability to burn as many calories will decrease over the amount of time because you're becoming really, really efficient at the movement. Think about writing. Writing when you were 4 or 5 years old was extremely challenging. Now you don't even think about it. Think about texting. Think about all of these different things that, again, you've done. You become effective and efficient at what you're doing. So it burns calories, but not as much. And you become very, very efficient at what you do. So you reduce the amount of calories burned over the course of a repetition. It can be done at any time, of course. It will not impact hunger levels. Again, if you go out 5K walk right now, you're not really going to feel that hungry after it. It's a good distraction. It can take you away from food environment. It can take you away from food focus. Because you are burning some calories, it can be quite therapeutic and actually can improve sleep. So again, it decreases cortisol secretion because, again, you're pumping oxygen and carbon dioxide through the blood. You're basically just getting the nutrients around the blood. Think of like a pump, just cleaning out the pipes, if you want to say. If you want to just say, like, getting things flowing, getting the lymphatic system, everything's moving, and can be very beneficial. So cons. Guys, if you're doing 5K, and if you are carrying a little bit excess weight, that's like 5,000 steps. That's like 5,000 times on the knees. If you're carrying an extra 5 or 10 pounds, like, think of 5,000 times you're doing that. We've all had it where our knees hurt, the ankles hurt, our joints ache, etc., etc. It can actually lead to long-term sort of damage in bones. Like, if you know any runners, they tend to say that their knees are pretty much shot. Think about basketball players. They're not really doing HIIT. It's more kind of muscular endurance that they're doing. And again, knees tend to go, etc., etc. Cons, of course, is lower energy expenditure, and sometimes it can be quite boring. So, a really interesting one. Some of you guys say that HIIT burns more calories and is superior for fat loss. Interesting. Terry, mind I joined you, I was obsessed with doing a 5K. Yeah, I think it was in the middle of COVID. Everybody was doing a 5K, so fair enough. Shannon, my mum is a semi-pro hockey and is 55 and has had double HIIT replacement as a result, 100%. So I thought this was really, really powerful. This is something I posted years back, month back. As you can see, calories burned during 1 hour of exercise. Now, when you look at your Fitbit or your Apple Watch or whatever, and if you went a walk, you would actually see that if you stood still for an hour, you burn about 80 to 100 calories. And I'm going to touch on that in just a second. If you were to walk, you increase your calorie expenditure by a fair bit if you were to do that for an hour. If you were to weight train, again, you probably increase again, probably around about a double. As you can see, if you do HIIT training, you nearly triple your amount of energy expenditure in 1 hour of exercise. Now, what's really important to understand is, as we touched on earlier, who's ever done a HIIT workout and then came home and done absolutely nothing? So, if you're walking, it's very easy to just continue exactly as you are doing, not doing any more, not doing any less. Again, if you introduce a weight training session, you're going to burn a couple of 100 calories extra. You're also going to build muscle. It's also going to build strength. You're going to feel good. You're going to feel strong. You're going to feel more confident. And then HIIT training has actually been shown, if people were left ad libitum, just kind of left to their own devices, they actually moved around a lot less over the course of 24 hours. So to say that HIIT is superior for fat loss, Well, it's really subjective. Now, if you can do HIIT training, and if you can still get your 10,000 steps, and if you can still do your 3 or 4 workouts a week, then it's actually a great tool for you to use. But if it's actually detracting you and your energy levels decrease, and you just find yourself fidgeting less and talking slower and just kind of dragging yourself through the day because you've done such a hard workout, I'm not going to say that HIIT training is going to be superior. So there's an element of it. It's a great tool to use when you know how to use it. So, big thing, when you're writing any program, when you're considering any form of exercise, the number one thing which we should do is define the outcome. You want to run 5K. Well, why do you want to run 5K? Because I want to run 5K. Not good enough. You want to run 5K because you like the challenge and it's fit and healthy and it's something that's cool that you've never done, right? Cool. Define the outcome. If you want to have more energy, if you want to feel better cardiovascular, if you want to burn some extra calories, if it's therapeutic and you enjoy running, then introduce it. If it's time availability, if you have a preferred approach, if you actually prefer doing HIIT training compared to low steady state, then again, just be mindful of it. What's the limitations you have? I myself couldn't picture myself doing 5K running. I weigh 97 kilos. Trying to run 5,000 steps at 97 kilos like sucks. I hate it. That's why, again, you'll see me on the rower, you'll see me on the ski, you'll see me on the bike, you'll see me in the assault bike, you'll see me in the battle ropes, kettlebell swing, circuits. But like the thought of doing 5K, like anything above 5K, surely you just get bored. Like, what do you, like, that's literally like 40 minutes of running. That's just boring. Like, I couldn't picture myself running for 45 minutes. That's just boring. It's dull. So that's me. It depends. Something to consider. I said this is what drives weight loss. I've spoke to you about energy in, energy out. Again, think of it in terms of money. So if you burn, as you can see here, your BMR, this is pretty much fixed. How many calories you burn in a 24-hour period doing nothing. Shannon is out at the moment walking. She's increasing her NEAT, her non-exercise activity thermogenesis. She's walking around a little bit more. I can see Elspeth there. She's writing. That is increasing her NEAT. That takes energy. You're burning some calories. Me talking is increasing my NEAT. Thermic effect of food, TEF, the digestion of what foods you have. So if you have a higher protein and a higher fiber diet, by eating more fruits, veg, and protein, it has an increased demand of what you're trying to burn because your body needs to digest it, absorb it. Having a higher protein diet, more fruits, more fibers, and more leafy greens. Your body needs to digest it, break it down, and because it's breaking it down, it releases heat energy. Your body then may sweat a little bit. You'll secrete more energy because you'll sweat, and that will reduce your body temperature back down to its homeostatic approach, which it likes to be. Last but not least, about 5 to 10% of your day actually is expended through exercise. 1 hour workout is 4% of a day. So whatever you do in that 1 hour, if you burn 300 calories, if you burn 500 calories, you're probably going to be consuming 2,000 calories. So that 100 calorie difference of how much you burn isn't going to make the biggest difference because 100 calories additional in an hour workout to then have to manage your hunger throughout the rest of the day when there's 250 calories in a snack size Snicker bar makes things a lot harder. So manage your hunger levels, be aware of it, and understand what you enjoy and understand the consequences, the pros and the cons of both. Last one, guys, my simple recommendations. What gets measured gets managed. Data is always king. What gets measured gets managed. So set your baseline level of activity. How many steps are you doing a day? How many resistance training sessions are you doing a day? Because we can take those averages and we can be like, right, cool. If you're doing 10,000 steps a day, I'm going to say that you're NEAT, you're probably burning about 2,000 calories a day. Let's just keep nice round numbers. If you increase your cardio, if you do HIIT and you do a 200 calorie HIIT session, or if you decide to go a 5K and that takes you 45 minutes and then you burn 200 calories, You've now increased the calorie deficit by 200 calories. If you've done it for 15 minutes and burnt 200 calories, you've done it for 45 minutes. It doesn't make a difference. Weight loss, fat loss is defined by a calorie deficit. How you achieve that calorie deficit doesn't matter. Set your weekly average of calorie intake. Again, money in, money out. Think of activity levels as how much spending you're doing. Think of what you're doing to bring things in would be like, how much are you earning? So money in, money out. Banking your calories, etc., etc. Like money in. What was Richard? You said something. We were talking a little bit earlier. Noting the books. I think Richard said. Richard, blink that down in the chat. That'd be awesome. What did you say? Balancing the books. Yeah, love that. Love that. Epic, man. Epic. Think about balancing the books. We're all tight money grabbing people. Understand money like you do calories. Your health is your wealth. I'll always say that. Increase activity levels when possible, because if you can burn 200 calories and you want to eat 200 calories extra, then you can kind of get away with it. Decrease caloric intake when necessary. So again, that's obviously something which I'll sort of have a bit more of an input on, but we all should be kind of consistently losing weight, and it is going to get to a point where things balance off. But you can get to the point where you're doing more, and it's going to have to just get to the point where you're going to decrease calories. But the end goal is I want everybody here to be dieting on as much pleasurable food as they possibly can. That's the goal. To have you dieting on as much food as you possibly can. And how we do that is by having more muscle mass, training effectively, training hard, and managing our recovery. If possible, implementation with cardio. Yep, Shannon, I will just, let me finish off these last 3 points and then you can unmute yourself. So when to implement, when possible, the best thing you can do for cardio and resistance training is try to do your resistance training on separate days. Because when you're going into a building phase, if you're trying to build muscle by going into the gym, breaking down muscle, and then again trying to build it by repair, growth and repair is going to be really, really essential. In comparison, cardiovascular is more of a metabolic process. So if you try to build muscle a gym session and then you do cardio straight after, you're trying to build and then you're going straight into a breaking down process. If you can do it in opposite days, fantastic. If possible, do it at separate times on the day. Maybe you do a morning fasted cardio session, then you do your resistance training in the evening, or opposites. You do your weights in the morning and cardio in the evening. If possible, or if you don't, that's fine. Do your cardio sessions after your workout. Last but not least, I'm actually a fan of doing a 15-minute HIIT session and then doing like a 5 to 10 minute walk. Because of the cortisol levels that increase during a HIIT session, and then a 5 to 10 minute cool down is actually been shown to burn more fat and a very, very small impact level. Again, it really kind of just jumps down to cardiovascular, energy in, energy out, but just the way that HIIT sort of increases metabolic demand, it frees up fatty acids, it specifically targets glucose, which is stored in fat cells, that flows around the blood, and then because your body uses oxygen during low steady state, you become a lot more effective at burning what is in the blood because it's with oxygen rather than without oxygen. So, yeah, just summarizing, understand there's no superior method. Cardio can be an effective tool, but as long as you increase your energy expenditure, what you need is a calorie deficit for extended period of time. Keep it short, simple. Questions? Shannon, pop yourself off of mute and ask away.
Right, so I don't know if this is one of those things where like you kind of like you kid yourself when you're on a diet, or whether it's got some truth in it or not. But I'd read somewhere, and I can't remember how long ago it was, that if you like have a diet that regularly consists of protein, fiber, like the kind of in quotation mark good type of carb, if you then your metabolism gets used to that kind of that nutrient level, so that say if you had a weekend where you had a takeaway, your body actually becomes more efficient at pulling out nutrients from low nutrient level foods, if that makes sense. Or did I sound really stupid saying that?
Honestly, your body's going to be obviously more surprised at what it is, and your body is probably not going to react quite well to it. So you may burn more calories, like just because your body needs to speed up its metabolism and digest it and kind of guess about what the sugar levels are going on, and you probably have energy up and energy crashes. To say is going to massively impact, like I would say you probably burn maybe 20 calories more or 20 calories less. At the end of the day, if you have 2,000 if you have 2,000 pounds coming into your bank account, and if you spend it on your food and your rent, your bills and expenses, or if you spend 2,000 pounds on wine, vodka, chocolate, and Dominoes, it doesn't really matter. Your bank account's still going to look like your bank account, and honestly, it's just calories in, calories out. You can lose weight by eating only McDonald's. To keep things simple, yeah. If you had like 2,000 calories of Domino's, if you had one pizza a day, and then you had half a pizza a day, you're going to lose weight regardless.
Yeah. So it doesn't really make, so that like the idea that your metabolism becomes more efficient at burning kind of fattier foods when you do decide to have them, it's just a bit of bullshit. It's that BS that we kid ourselves over.
Yep. I would probably say the opposite. Like, I know that I'd like to say my food quality is really, really good. And the energy levels I get out of it, when I have something which is maybe not as good, I feel rubbish. I just don't get much out of it. Because again, the nutrient density, the food quality is just so much less. It's just really not inferior, but it's just not the same. Richard, I heard about this, and I only ever used it as an excuse to smash a takeaway under the pretense that I was being healthy. To speed up the metabolism, take care of the anabolic window, right? Post-workout, yeah, awesome. Again, belief system. It keeps my body guessing, right? So that's why you're changing up your workouts, and yeah, your body's clueless as to what the hell you're doing. All right.